The challenges women and girls are facing as a result of COVID-19 have been dubbed a shadow pandemic. If not managed well, the COVID-19 pandemic can reverse all limited progress that has been made on gender equality. Because while the world is grappling with the coronavirus that has locked down nations across the world and rendered many desperate for necessities such as food, whatever the world is suffering or feeling, women and girls are experiencing multiple times. 95% of women are informal traders, according to the United Nations report. Their livelihoods are shut down. They are the major carers of the sick. They are logged in with their abusers. Often states have not thought enough about the vulnerabilities of women and girls within the COVID crisis response mechanisms, and it has become a second crisis. Women and girls are thrown into deeper poverty if governments do not act fast regarding the plight of women and girls within this crisis. This is COVID-19 Talk with Nyari Mashayamombe, of course, a series of identities umhlobo, and we are happy to talk to you about COVID-19, the coronavirus. How is it affecting your community? How is it affecting the world? How is it affecting our day-to-day? Are we at peace? Are we happy? Are we making it work in the best way we can according to the regulations that we've been recommended to? To discuss this important situation, especially on women and girls, I've met Precious Tari from Musasa, the director of Musasa project, and thank you for joining me on this conversation. We want to also hear from your communities. Do write to us on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We heard that if not managed well, the COVID-19 pandemic could reverse the limited progress that has been achieved in gender equality. What does that mean?
I think what we need to understand is we are in a crisis, and we do have implications in terms of the gains that we've already made in terms of gender equality and gender equity. But now this crisis has also exposed us as to how we've been handling issues to do with women's rights, issues to do with equality, issues to do with equity. For example, we start with who is on the front line as we talk about COVID. The majority of staff that are handling COVID-19 right now in the hospitals and the clinics, in the centers that are being opened, are women. We've had issues to do with inadequate personal protective equipment being supplied to the clinics and to the frontliners who are handling COVID-19, which is a global crisis. We have to acknowledge that. Right. But we are also taking into consideration that these are women that have homes, that are going back to their homes, and we need to protect women. So we might end up having a pandemic that has got a majority of a particular gender being affected because we do not have the adequate resources to ensure that we protect these frontline workers. Secondly, we also acknowledge that this is a pandemic that is going to go away. We don't know when. But we acknowledge that our women, or especially in Zimbabwe, our informal sector is made up of 95% of women in the informal sector. And currently the informal sector has been hard hit because women are locked down in their households. So you are now thinking, after the lockdown, are they going to be able to pick themselves up? Because this was a hand-to-mouth sort of sector where if I don't sell my vegetables, I don't have anything to eat in the home. So already we are seeing the gains that we have made in trying to empowering our own women to be able to be self-sustainable, not going down the drain because they are not able to generate that income that was sustaining their households. We are also taking into consideration issues to do with the disproportionate burden of care, where I am the frontliner, I am coming from work, I have to again manage my own household. With instances where some men are walking out of these households because of inadequate food, inadequate money. So I'm being a frontliner at the workplace where I'm working, but I also have to take all the responsibilities when I get back home. So these are some of the dynamics that we are saying. They are already taking away some of the progress that we've made in trying to ensure that women gain mileage in terms of equality and equity. We are also looking at...
We are going to come back and discuss further about some of the specific challenges women are having to grapple with. We're taking a quick break. Don't go away, stay with us. Welcome back to COVID-19 Talk with Nyari, Mashayamombe, and thank you again for joining me. And again, we want to hear what's happening in your community as we share with you what's happening around the world, around the country. We have a competition that's running. If you want to win some cool airtime, join our Facebook conversations, go to our Facebook, go to our Instagram, send up a WhatsApp message, find out what's going on. But in the studio today, I have the director of Musasa project and Madam Precious, who's taking us through the extreme difficulties that women and girls go through as they go through a crisis such as COVID-19. And you had already started telling us about the burden of unpaid care work. Would you like to expand on that?
Lastly, I think we talked about this in the first series where we also said we are seeing a spike in terms of gender-based violence. So these are some of the effects which we are now starting to experience in terms of COVID-19 and how it's affecting women. Women are being abused. Men are also being abused. We do want to acknowledge that. But the ones who are suffering more are the women and the girls and the children. So these are some of the issues that are coming out, and we are saying it can take away some of the gains that we've already made in trying to address gender-based violence.
Do you feel like us as community, we could begin to do certain things to help each other?
Yes, I believe in such a scenario, we are our best helpers, and we have the potential to do so. I understand in some communities there's no water. Some communities do not have food. And yes, we do rely mostly on government, but I also think be your neighbor's helper.
Right.
You have a spare 2 kg sugar, why not provide if they are calling out for help?
Or sometimes they don't, because we haven't been giving each other, right?
Yes.
We haven't been helping each other.
Yes.
So someone atojaira kufanya nzara yake mbamake, but us who have it to say, Makalwane, how are you doing? We don't see each other often. Shokamira saying, then please.
Yes. And I know we are maintaining social distancing, but in high density areas, we just knowing how someone is, for the day, how that person is for the day, it's very crucial, because that's where you understand if they are okay. That's when you understand if they need help.
Yeah.
So I think we have capacity as our own communities to help each other.
I mean, you have just given us a one-on-one of surviving COVID-19 or coronavirus. You've just taught us that the concept of Ubuntu, the world knows about Ubuntu, because Africans, some of us, we are having meals morning, afternoon, and evening. Your neighbor does not have. How about you just transfer that little amount of money into their EcoCash, or do something for them so that we are each other's keepers. As you are rightfully saying, that we can police each other. We know there's a child being harassed up there. You know you've got a friend, maybe whose father is doing wrong things to them. You can actually be that person's keeper. We can be our neighbors' keeper, our sisters' keeper, our brothers' keeper, and we can do so much things together. But I think the most fundamental thing is it's the time if we have ever needed each other the most, is this time.
Yes.
And even my landlords, hakuna mari. We need to understand each other. And I know, I think this is some of the things that probably the government would speak about. But right now, people don't have jobs. Majority of our people, very most street, street usually, the 95% that we spoke about.
And yes, they have to wait. That's when I can So how do we protect those?
Exactly.
How do we protect those women? So like what you are actually saying, these are some of the interventions that would also need government to take up. How do we protect those vulnerable groups?
How do we protect
in this time? Yes.
How do we protect the vulnerable groups as government is working on policies and seeing how practically they can cushion people social protection yambotaurwa kuti vanhu vasazara mustreet vachidzingwa, but isusu pachezvedu vakawanda tinorenterana. How about kana uchimbofarirawo mari yangu shuwa when things are okay? I think it's also good for you. And I think this is again coming to what you've just said, that we would love to see the government encouraging citizens to not shut each other out. Hakuna mabasa vanhu vakagara kudzimba toda kumbocontaina covid, then don't chase each other. Tinozobhadhira zvose kunzi ndemahara ka zvonzi pane nemukana vanozobhadhiravo later, ndozvatiri kuona internationally. Anyway, we come back and we continue with this conversation. Don't go away, stay with us. Hi, this is COVID-19 Talk with Nyari Mashayamombe. If you're just joining us, you missed out on a lot, but you can go to our social media platforms and follow us on YouTube, on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We are everywhere, and we pick up these conversations. What is going on in your community around COVID? Are you safe? Are you keeping your community safe? Now, my sister, we've just heard about how us as the citizen can cause that change, can be the change that we want. But there's also things that we've heard, the inadequacy or the clinics that are closing. What can we say about that?
We all understand in a pandemic resources are stretched. And in this particular pandemic, at times there's also that tendency of fear. Am I going to catch it? But we also do need to understand there are certain essential services that we need to run to ensure that we don't magnify other problems whilst addressing one other problem. There are certain services that we want to ensure kuti ngazvirambe zviripo. Tinotanga kutaura nyaya yema-health facilities. Tine ma-health facilities mamwe adzokedzesa nguva dzawo vakukurumidza kuvhara. Asi isu tine ma-survivors anenge achida kubatsirwa, tine madzimai akazvitakura anenge achida kubatsirwa. Saka tinokumbirisa kuti ma-facilities iwayo ange aripo. Chimwe chakuitika ndechekuti madzimai akufamba longer distances to get to the other facility to access this service. We are appealing to the government to ensure these essential services remain open for women and girls. Secondly, tinema issues to do with water. There are certain areas where water still is not available, even after the court ruling that government ensures kuti vanwana mvura. Tinema areas akaita sekunana Bulawayo, where people still are not getting water. Tinema areas even in Nyari, where people are not getting water. And vanhu vari kunotsvaka mvura kunze uku madzimai. And the risk that we are posing at these water points, one, the chances of reinfection in COVID. Because patiri kuchera mvura yacho tiri kupractice that 1 meter social distancing. Two, pari kutoitawo pressure nokuti this is a scarce resource. So we are appealing to the government kuti ngati
ende pakupamba apo pakupamba
ndakapfeka here zvinondichengetedza nekuti ndiri kundobata metal iyaya ari kuteera ari kusvika chinobatawo metal iyaya. Kumbirisa kuti government, let's work towards addressing issues to do with water provision. Chimwe chandingada zvakare kutaura ndechekuti ngatitangei kufunga kuti madzimai atambotaura nezvawiring muinformal sector, how do we cushion these households? Because again tinogona kunge tatova neimwe problem after this pandemic, even during this pandemic. How are households feeding their families? We know there's the social cash transfer, but is it adequate for everyone? And we want to acknowledge, we want to thank the government for that. But is it adequate? Are we also taking into consideration these informal traders that are stuck in the households? And again, perpetuating violence, because kana musisina chikafu, ndo muya makuita mhirizhonga. Wandibikira mavheji ndanchida nyama. Ndo muya makuita mhirizhonga. Ndakubuda kunotsvaka small house kuti ndidye nyama ndokusiya nevana osara kuzvona. Asi
madzimai ari kumbobuda here kuti ndakusiya nevana vako. Umbozvionera kuti ndaneta inini nekuprovidira ipano. Kumbotiwo because it takes two katutangu. Varume nemadzimai kuti vana ndiye vedu tese ka.
Kazhinji kacho madzimai tine ka-attachment katinoita kuvana. Ende mudzimai kashoma kuti ndibude ndisiye mwana wangu. Saka kazhinji ndo pamunoona mudzimai achiti ndingatofa ndine vana vangu.
Well, that was the director of Musasa, Madam Precious, just really putting out there to the government to say, in our interventions, let's put the women and children, especially the girls and women, at the center, because also they're child-headed families who, under lockdown, what are they going to be doing? That amount, how significant is it to such a family? I'm actually just thinking about issues of contraception for women and family planning. At such times, we don't want to create more for example, more new HIV infections because women and girls and youths couldn't get contraception or protection. As they are bonding, they have adequate protection. They are also looking after their own health. This is COVID-19 Chat with Nyari Mashayamombe. Follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and again, it's a series of Identity Zone Global. Until next time, see you again.